Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Village of Cary and the Board of Zoning, Planning, and Appeals, I'd like to hereby call this meeting to order on this Thursday, October the 12th, 2023. Time is approximately 7:10 p.m. We have a quorum of members, and at this time, I'd like to ask our Director of Community Development, Mr. Brian Simmons, to please call the roll.
Jasper?
Here.
O'Laughlin?
Here.
Phelps?
Here.
Williams? Kretschmer?
Here.
Graziano?
Here.
Corey?
Here.
Cassetter?
Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Thanks very much, everyone.
No, you're fine.
Smash your hand.
All right, so before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, you know you have the meeting minutes from our last meeting of September the 14th. And that was related to the final plat of subdivision for the East Cary Commercial subdivision. So before I ask for a voice vote, does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns around those meeting minutes? Those in favor of approving the meeting minutes dated September the 14th, 2023, please say aye.
Aye.
Any no or nay? Okay, meeting minutes approved. Thank you very much. And, sir, just to help you understand how we're going to conduct our business, the way we typically do this is Mr. Simmons is going to give us an overview of your application request, and then members of the ZPA may have some questions for Mr. Simmons. Once we conclude that portion of the meeting, we'll ask you to come forward, and if you wouldn't mind just stating your name and address for the record. If you're unaware, these do get recorded, so those that are not here can see the meeting in the future. And members of the ZPA, once again, might have some questions for yourself. Once we close that portion of the meeting, we open it up to the public. I recognize you're the only one here, but it is a state law. We do that by matter of protocol. Close that portion of the meeting. We take a vote on this, and then that vote is delivered back to our elected officials.
It's final with the ZPA on this one,
Variance?
for a sign variance.
Okay, better. So just to clarify that, Mr. Simmons, because I was going to mention to Ms. Castetter, that on variances, though, because the 8th associate member, even though it's final, it's still variance is a variance, right?
Correct. So from
Okay.
that standpoint, the associate member cannot vote on it,
Okay.
but it would be final at this board.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. And Ms. Castetter, you're allowed to ask any questions, comments when we get to the vote, just by state law. That's just the way it is.
Okay.
Okay, very good. All right, so at this time, we will call village case number 23 ZPA 08001. This is for Identity Services LLC should be, I'm assuming, Stryker, not
Correct.
Sage.
The petitioner is Identity Services, the property owner is still Sage Products.
Okay. 3909 Three Oaks Road. And at this time, we'll turn it over to Mr. Simmons for an overview.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As identified this evening, the request is for a variance for 2 additional wall signs to be installed at the property at 3909 Three Oaks Road, which is the Stryker manufacturing facility. Brief history on the property. It's zoned M Limited Manufacturing. It was annexed in 3 pieces over time due to the size of the property. Various portions were annexed in 1985, 1999 when the manufacturing facility was first constructed, and then 2009 a small component was also annexed for a parking lot expansion along Three Oaks Road. As mentioned, the facility was originally constructed back in the late 1990s. Was expanded with a warehouse expansion along New Haven Drive in the rear of the site in 2009, and then most recently in 2016 expanded across Sage Parkway, which was vacated as part of that project. And then in 2023, this year, another 100,000 square feet was added to the facility. So the facility has grown over time in the community and is continuing to do well at this current location. The petitioner is proposing to install 2 new wall signs on the property. Currently, they are permitted to have 1 wall sign per street frontage, and they do have signs that face both Three Oaks Road and Georgetown Drive currently, but as proposed, they're seeking to install 2 additional wall signs on the building that one would face Three Oaks Road, and another would be internal to the property that would match the existing signs that are on the building. The signs would be approximately 36 square feet in size and would be non-illuminated, similar to the two signs that they have today, would be channel letters as well. And the slide shown here shows the location on the northern facade facing Three Oaks Road of where those signs would be located on, basically bookending the new building addition that was performed, and then the additional signs would be just around the corner of those facades facing both Georgetown Road and the old Sage Parkway entrance. Again, maximum size that's permitted is 72 square feet per sign face, so each sign would comply with the size requirements. The variance is required as they are going to have more than one wall sign facing a roadway. So that's the relief that's being sought this evening. And due to the two frontages, they are permitted at least two signs, one per street frontage. Staff reviewed the petition, and just due to the size of the property, it is very unique in the village's standpoint that it does compromise a very long stretch of frontage along Three Oaks Road. And recalling the aerial photograph at the beginning of the presentation, there are several properties that are across the street from this site that are individually developed that each could have wall signs. So the number of signs that they're proposing would not be out of character for the area from a standpoint of creating sign pollution from that standpoint. They do have an existing monument sign in front of their office entrance off of Three Oaks Road, and then there is various directional signage around the property as well that's permitted within the code. So these signs, those signs are all permitted by right. They're just seeking variances to add the additional two wall signs. This slide summarizes the standards that would need to be met to consider a variation. The petitioner did provide a response to those standards, which is within your packet this evening. And should the ZPA determine that the various standards have been met in this case, staff is recommending that the ZPA approve a motion to grant a variance to allow for the installation of two additional wall signs for the subject property, subject to the condition listed in the staff report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, and the petitioner is here as well to provide feedback on the request.
Thanks, Mr. Simmons. So ladies or gentlemen, questions for Mr. Simmons?
Yeah, Brian, I have one question. If you go back to the ABCD slide, if they're allowed one sign per frontage, why are we doing the B as a variance?
Because technically that is not facing the street, so they would basically.
Technically it's not facing a street.
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
gotcha, gotcha.
Sage Parkway is technically a driveway now. So
Yes,
it's
yes.
Unvacated or vacated right-of-way, that would require variance. So they would get one sign facing Three Oaks Road and one sign facing Georgetown.
Okay, I gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions?
So what you're saying is that even though location B is internal to the property, it still has to comply with the size and everything?
Correct. Yeah, so we do, the code restricts where you can place a sign and then how large a sign can be.
Yeah.
So the code, if it was inside the building and visible to only individuals inside the building, it would not require a permit or a variation. But in this case, it still would be installed outside the building. It's not a wall that they can install a sign currently by code.
Oh, okay.
So
It wouldn't be allowed
Yeah.
unless we allow a
Correct.
variance. So the two signs per frontage, it only applies to the Three Oaks Road facing. And the other is just a variance to allow an additional sign.
Correct.
Not two signs.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? So, Mr. Simmons, I have one. Does this process require any notification of surrounding neighbors?
Yes. So as part of the, for a public hearing, there's notice that was sent to the surrounding property owners, newspaper, notice, and then also a sign was posted on the property.
All right, the reason for asking, Mr. Simmons, because unless we missed it, or maybe it's not in my packet, I didn't see usually there's a listing of the property owners that are notified. And I didn't see it in the packet, that's all.
Yes, it's, we do have,
Okay.
listing, it might not be in, it's in my,
But the bigger question, Mr. Simmons, is did you receive any feedback from any of those people?
we did receive at the village some inquiries, and, once we provided the information, so the neighbors that were behind the facility, some of them inquired as far as what was being proposed, had some concerns as far as a potential illuminated sign facing their roadway, which by code would be permitted. But once they were given the information as far as what was being requested, they all were fine with it.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. All right, so unless there's other questions from Mr. Simmons, we'll ask the petitioner if you wouldn't mind coming forward, and you're welcome to give us any additional comments or colors to the application that you think is appropriate. And
So, first of all, Rick Ulrich, and my address, work address is 3909 Three Oaks Road.
thank you.
You know, the main reason for doing this, and we worked with Brian quite a bit on this building, it's got like 680 feet of frontage on Three Oaks Road, and we did a lot adding all the glass and windows. I don't know if you remember before, it was just this really blank wall, it looked like a big factory for 600 feet. We added a lot of windows, made it look real nice, and we just thought with having striker on both corners, it would be a little bit more symmetrical. Because as we designed it, everything else with the windows was very symmetrical, so we thought it would be a nice touch. And two, some of the feedback we had from a lot of visitors and truckers is they're heading down Three Oaks Road going east. It's almost like they drive past the building and they don't realize it's a striker building till they get on to Georgetown and they see the striker up in the corner, especially more so the truck drivers. So we thought, as they're coming down Three Oaks Road, and mainly the original striker sign in front of our building is kind of low, and it's got a lot of landscape around it, so I guess it's easy to drive past. We thought, you know, this would stick out a little bit more. You know, they might see the striker name, and then they see the receiving sign, and they would cut down what used to be Sage Parkway. So that was the whole reason for doing it.
Thank you, Mr. Ulrich. So before you adjourn, let me just double check with the members here if anyone has any questions for yourself. No? All right, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So at this time, I will open it up to the public, and it should be noted that other than the petitioner, Mr. Ulrich, no one is present. And so at this time, I will close the public portion of the meeting. And members of the ZPA, unless you have any questions amongst yourself, I'll probably call the motion. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve a variation to allow for the installation of 2 additional wall signs for the property located at 3909 Three Oaks Road, subject to the conditions listed in the staff report.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. Mr. Simmons, would you call the roll?
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Phelps,
Yes.
Kretschmer,
Yes.
Graziano,
Yes.
Jasper,
Yes.
Corey.
Yes. So you have a favorable recommendation, and as Mr. Simmons correctly pointed out earlier, it's a final vote here tonight, so it's approved. And so what I would say is just stay in close coordination with Mr. Simmons. He can give you kind of the very specifics, but we'll wish you and Stryker Sage continued success. Sorry to pull you out of your home late in the evening.
No, you know, first of all, thank you very much, and second of all, I apologize for not being here on time, and I just, it was a miscommunication. Didn't know I needed to be here, that was probably my fault, and if I did, I would have been here on time, sorry.
Probably on both of us, it's fine.
Well, it's
Got it
all,
taken care of, it's
it's all resolved now, so
Right,
it's
thank
all
you.
ends well. All right, well, continued success.
Thank you,
And,
am I good to go?
Yeah,
good to
you're
go.
welcome to go.
All right, thank you, I guess we'll go watch that football game.
All right. We won't be far behind.
Night.
Good night. Okay, so if I was hearing correctly before, Mr. Simmons, there's no meeting coming down the pike that you said you've got that application.
Correct.
Yeah,
Probably the earliest meeting we'll have, if we will have one, will be December at this point. So there will not be a November meeting. So everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
same.
Me too.
And we'll see how things progress for December. I have the one petition that's kicking the tires that may still not happen until January as well. So we might not convene again until next year.
All right. Well, with that said, unless anyone has any other comments or questions, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Happy Thanksgiving, maybe happy Christmas and